but this guy. Vote for anyone but this guy. Face it, he's just a racist, and white is white.
The federal government all these years has covered up. I think it's very, very bad for our country.
There are cases that are not explainable in conventional terms.
That have been made by credible observers of relatively incredible things.
When we got right up to it, it lit up.
Was this a warning? Was this an attempt to communicate?
Felt scared. I was running and playing, and then I saw this maroon color in the sky.
It was not anything from this earth.
He was looking at all of us. Maybe they're trying to communicate.
They were reaching out to us.
There is an immense array of unanswered questions and an urgent need to get to the bottom of it.
The public has a right to know.
My gosh, look at that thing.
The question is no longer if they are here, but why.
What are they doing? What do they want from us? What are their motivations?
For over 75 years, there have been sightings in the sky.
The UFO shut down several missile silos in Montana.
Thousands of witnesses worldwide.
It had to be a data collection. I'm sure they scanned the warhead.
Just kind of hovering there. It never changed its longitudinal axis. And then it goes poof and it takes off the side.
And high-level cover-ups.
The government was covering up what happened at Roswell.
We need to accept that we are not alone in the universe.
There's a tremendous resistance. I guarantee every one of them knows that this event happened.
Hiding these dark secrets even from elected presidents.
I was told there wasn't anything there when I knew there was.
People need to know there is something else out there.
Yes, there had been visitation, crashed craft, material recovered.
Shouldn't we be spending some money to study all these phenomena?
I knew this was breaking news for the front page of the New York Times.
They were trying to communicate, trying to tell us something.
Now it's time to tell people about it. Are you saying that there's some evidence that still hasn't seen the light of day?
I'm saying most of it hasn't seen the light of day.
These things are real, they're here, this is happening now.
McGirt v. Oklahoma, one of the highest profile Indian cases in the last 50 years in the United States, has to do with criminal jurisdiction. Under federal law, tribes have concurrent jurisdiction in their reservation territories for criminal justice purposes when Indians are involved in an offense, either as victims or perpetrators. The question of McGirt was the reservation that the Creek Nation or Muskogee Nation of Oklahoma disestablished in 1907 when Oklahoma became a state. So McGirt challenged his conviction by the state of Oklahoma for a violent crime he committed. And he claimed that the crime was committed on what was still and is still an Indian reservation in eastern Oklahoma. He made arguments about the Treaty of 1866 by which the Muskogee or Creek Nation obtained a reservation in that part of Oklahoma and claimed that the state lacked any jurisdiction over him. Congress could have done what's called disestablishment. They could have said, you no longer have this reservation and we don't recognize the reservation anymore, as happened literally to hundreds of other tribes throughout the United States. But no one could ever find a document that said that that's what they did. Oklahoma and the United States government took the position that there were a number of statutes and the only common sense way they can be read is that this reservation had been disestablished. In support of their position, they looked at what happened to the tribes in question. since statehood, roughly, there was no attempt by the federal government to fulfill these obligations the Creek Nation says now they should be fulfilling. And this was a very powerful part of the case, was that for 100 years, this is the way things in Oklahoma have been. The Supreme Court held by 5-4 that, yes, this is still a reservation, but to Justice Gorsuch and the majority, it was a clear case to them of textualism, and that's how they couched it. They said for purposes of this specific issue, whether McGirt could be prosecuted under a federal statute called the Major Crimes Act, that the land was still reservation land for jurisdictional purposes, so the federal government could prosecute McGirt, and that was the proper sovereign to hold him accountable for his violent crime, not the state of Oklahoma. There's no change in anything having to do with land status here. Everybody who had private property in Oklahoma still has their same property right. Nothing's affected in terms of property rights. The state's property in those areas is unaffected. The federal government's property, of course, unaffected. The tribes didn't get any land out of this, and neither did any individual Native American person or tribal member. Ultimately, this is an issue, the majority says, for Congress. If there is an issue here about the proper scope of criminal jurisdiction, it is possible to address that through legislation. The dissent takes a totally different view and says, look, there are all sorts of reasons why, if we say this for the Major Crimes Act, it will apply to the other tribes, it'll apply in other parts of Indian country, it will apply not just to criminal jurisdiction, but potentially to civil jurisdiction as well. And with Chief Justice John Roberts writing the dissent, their concern, as stated in the dissent, is we just have to be mindful that we've opened a Pandora's box of potential difficulties. And now we'll see how it plays out in terms of what the Creek Nation and other tribes potentially within that larger treaty area, which includes 4 others, work out with the state of Oklahoma and perhaps the federal government for the proper, in their view, distribution of jurisdiction among them.
There has been a systematic attempt to silence the voices of those who need change in the United States of America. Because at the same time voter suppression has taken hold, we've seen an erosion of the right to organize in the United States, the likes of which we haven't seen in decades. The Janus decision came about because of voter suppression. The fact that it is hard to get a job and keep a job is because people have been elected who don't believe in the dignity of work. And so we have to reconnect the dots, and we have to tell the true story. And the true story is, this is our country, and our voices will be heard. And in 2020, we will shout louder and harder and more than we ever have before, because this is our time and the power is ours, and we will not let anyone take it from us. But the organization that I'm here to talk about today is Fair Fight. Because you see, in Georgia in 2018, we didn't have a fair fight. Despite the thousands of folks in labor who put their feet on the ground and their doors knocking, their hands knocking doors. The money's invested not in me, but in us and in we and what was possible. We didn't have a fair fight. And while Georgia is a singular example, we're not the only one. Because just this year, in the wake of voter suppression, we saw new laws passed in Texas and in Florida, in Tennessee and in Arizona. And we're going to see more and more laws passed. The closer we get to victory, the harder they're going to rig the game. But I've got a secret for you. We're going to win. We're going to win because there are only 2 things stopping us in 2020. Making sure people have a reason to vote and that they have the right to vote. Well, I've decided to leave it to a whole bunch of other folks to make sure they have a reason to vote. But I'm here today to announce Fair Fight 2020 to make sure everyone has the right to vote in the United States of America. That is what we're going to do. Say it with me. Say fair fight. Fair fight. Fair fight. We are going to have a fair fight in 2020 because I'm going to use my energies. I'm going to use my energies and my very, very loud voice to raise the money we need to train those across the country in our 20 battleground states, to make sure that Donald Trump and the Senate take a hike and we put people in place who know what we need to have in the United States of America for progress to be possible. We're going to make certain that in those states, we're going to train folks to protect the right to vote, to ensure that every ballot gets counted, to make sure there's a hotline in each state so that when the new law shows up, people know what to do. We're going to have a fair fight in 2020 because my mission is to make certain that no one has to go through in 2020 what we went through in 2018. Because despite how hard they worked, I'm still here, and we are going to fight to make sure every voice is heard. Every eligible American who should cast a vote will be able to, but we can't do it alone. We need you to stand up and stand with us, because a fair fight in 2020 means that we have the right to organize in all 50 states. A fair fight in 2020 means that we have a Senate that will move legislation to ensure that we save our pension. A fair fight in 2020 will protect health care for those who do not have the access that we need. A fair fight in 2020 means that economic opportunity is real and that the infrastructure plans that have been on the books finally get the money they need to put jobs on the table. That's what Fair Fight 2020 will provide. That's what we're doing. And so I'm here to ask you to stand with me, IUPAC. Stand with me as we create a new future together, as we put the power of democracy back into the hands of our people, because we will have a fair fight in 2020, and then we're on, and on. Thank you so much.
We all, each of us, has the most amazing civic responsibility to cast our vote. But not everyone has an easy time voting. We have seen long lines at polls, keeping many from making their voices heard.
People are waiting in line up to 30 to 40 minutes to cast their ballots.
Pretty much about 45 minutes to an hour.
People are waiting, I would say about 2.5, 3 hours.
This is why the World Central Kitchen I founded and the amazing team, along with many great partners, we have created Chefs for the Polls. Together, we will serve hot meals at some early voting sites and polling locations around the country on election day.
This is Carla with World Central Kitchen, and I'm here at North Dade Regional Library in Florida.
We're at 4 different sites here in Baltimore.
From Brooklyn.
Currently in Las Vegas, Nevada.
We are here at the Algiers Courthouse in New Orleans.
Fort Defiance, Arizona, here on the Great Navajo Nation.
From beautiful and sunny Charleston, South Carolina. It's Christy checking in from Chicago with World Central Kitchen.
People across the country will not need to worry about where the meal is coming from.
We have served almost 150 delicious pulled pork sandwiches.
The menu today is a delicious Cuban pasta salad. People are loving it.
Doing a Philly cheesesteak sandwich and also some soul food burger.
Lovely, delicious pastries this morning.
Nice grilled chicken wrap and pasta salad.
Serving up steak sandwiches to the people as they come out and cast their votes.
And we need your help. Please go to chefsforthepolls.org to find out more and to donate to this effort.
People are excited and eager to vote today.
Everyone's in really good spirits, and it's just, that's what Chefs for the Polls is about.
Let's make sure that the hot meal is not the difference between voting and not voting.
Chefs for the Poll, World Central Kitchen. We love you.
Make sure you guys cast your vote.
Get out there and vote.
Go to the polls, we'll bring the food to you.
Hello everybody! So I just show you my face for a second. This is the face of every Venetian today. Why is that? Because this is the first time in 1,200 years of history of Venice that despite the high water in the sea, the city is dry. The city has not been flooded. Because for the first time today, the floodgates of the Mose have been lifted to spare the city, to save the city from the floodings, from the tide coming, and we're dry. Venice is a city that was actually built on 118 little islands that were surfacing the Venetian lagoon. And this lagoon is connected to the Adriatic Sea by 3 big channels. So through these channels, the water flows in and flows out during every tide, and it exchanges the water with the sea. So water comes in, water goes out. But when there's a very high tide for our standards, of course, the water comes into the lagoon and it floods the city. So what we did here was to build movable barriers, the Mose, movable floodgates that are under the surface, and when needed, they're activated, they come up, they block, like they prevent the water from flowing in, and they keep the level in the lagoon at a not dangerous height. Look at this. This is the fundamenta next to the Canali Cannaregio, and it's dry. Everything is dry. And from now on, we might never see Venice being flooded again. This moment is crazy. It's amazing. Everyone, like you walk around the city, and everyone today is speaking about one thing, about the fact that the Mose has worked, the city is dry. This marks a new day for life in Venice, for people like us, like Valeria and I, who live on the ground floor. This day is exceptional.
Put my hand here, put my thumb in his eye, the thumb screw, and then I put it under here. Here's the thing, not once in prison did I ever get hurt. Not once bouncing did I ever get hurt. Not even like a black eye or a bruise or anything. It just never happened. I was like 20, 21. I got it to go home for 3 weeks before I went to the joint. My sister's friend came in there and she was like, I just have long hair. She was like, is this your hairbrush? I said, yeah, why? She was like, can I have the hair in it? I was like, why? And she was like, I'm gonna put a spell on you. I was like, whatever. You know, go ahead, I don't care, I don't believe in it anyway. She's like, it's gonna protect you when you get locked up. I said, all right, great. Nothing ever happened to me. I got in a lot of fights in there and there's a lot of dangerous dudes, but I never got hurt. Anyway, one night I'm at the nightclub. There's about 30 Marines in there. And I got one guy to back me up, and this guy can't fight at all. So I'm the only bouncer in there that can do, knows how to fight. I'm the head of security. And so I'm trying to get these guys out, and they're all raising hell. So there's this one black dude, he's kind of short, totally yoked, and he is enraged. I mean, he's just going nuts. He was just like, he's jumping up and down. He's like, I'm kicking your fucking ass. I mean, he's just going berserk. He's not drunk either. He's totally sober. He's just losing it. And I was like, I'm definitely gonna have to get into it with this dude. And he's just like going nuts, and he was like, you're dead. And I don't know how it happened. And he's jumping up and down, and he just slipped and he knocked himself out. And I was like, gee, man, like, I must have a guardian angel or something. Like someone's looking out for me. But the thing is that when I was a bouncer, or when I did get in street fights, I could project part of my thoughts into someone and make them dizzy or make them weaker. A lot of times I'd just make them afraid of me. Like they would be so scared of me, nothing would happen. 2 weeks ago, I was at this nightclub and I wasn't working. I said, I'll come check it out and see if I'm gonna work with you guys. A bunch of bikers came in, they had all these big knives. One guy had a 16-inch blade. He was like, I'm not taking it off. I said, you can't go in. So I just went out there and I was just standing there and I was looking at him about how I'm looking now. And one of the bikers, he keeps looking at me and he was like, I'll take it away because of you. And I was like, why's that? And he was like, you just look serious. But the thing is that what I did is I projected my thoughts into them, and I made them scared. Back in like the 60s, they had this thing where Russia had these films of these people like moving stuff with their minds. It was fake. But what they did is the United States said, we need to get into that and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to find people that can move stuff around with their minds. So what the military did in the book, which is supposed to be based on a true story, is that they had this priest come in, these religious people, and they were saying, no, she doesn't have psychic powers, she's possessed. So if these martial arts people that have these kind of mystic powers that I've seen and felt, what if it's not some power that you develop like chi or some internal energy? What if it is a bad spirit? What if it is a demon? I don't know. Am I projecting something into other people to make them scared? Is it just because I train a lot and have a lot of experience? Is it just because everyone I've come up against has been, half drunk or, on balance because they were mad? Or am I just lucky?
I don't think you're projecting.
Because you're serious. There you go. It's because you're deliberate.
Can you elaborate?
Because you're deliberate. Because you're serious. Because you understand.
When you're right, you've got the weight of the universe behind you, and you won't be hurt. And I think everybody here, just because by nature of what we do, questioning what we believe and so on, which you're obviously doing right now, that puts the weight of the universe on your side, and you prevail.
The person that's about to enter into a stress like that, especially a high stakes stress, is confused, right? And I think your experience of projecting into them and then they're dizzy or change their mind about fighting or realize you're a badass or whatever it is I don't think, and again, it's just my read, you're not projecting a thing. They're just seeing somebody that isn't confused.
Well,
and then hang on. And then the effect is that by not being confused, you're clear. And then the effect of that is that they see themselves and they see their own fear, and that's why they leave. Because nothing scares a man more than fear of himself.
This trip is very special because Shivanji's first trip to America and to a lot of places. It's been a very fortunate trip because before coming here we were in Canada, and with the grace of Guru Maharajji, Jagajani Mataji and Shivanji Maharaj, we just celebrated the inauguration of a new ashram in Canada, Calgary, Alberta. And it's a work in progress. All ashrams are a work in progress. I guess all the premies also know that even this ashram is a work in progress only after so many years. But that's the beauty of an ashram, because it also grows with the people that it nurtures, in its vicinity. And an ashram is a place where, our differences of culture, our differences of languages, our differences of our upbringing can be put aside, and we can be united in the bonds of humanity. So it is indeed a great opportunity to sit in the feet of the Master. We are all on a journey We all search for our own meanings of life, for our meanings of expression, what makes us satisfied, what makes us content. And that's how this community is formed. So our search has brought us to this common place, where we all, irrespective of our differences, have a common grounding, a common footing. So to experience the truth is sometimes also easy, because truth sometimes is not only manifested through words, sometimes it's manifested through gestures. Sometimes an unknown person can share something with you or can guide you in certain ways that can be very profound or life-changing for you. So these experiences are very profound, and we have in some way experienced them. But the third thing that Gautam Buddha says is, be ready to let everything go is sometimes the most difficult. And if we all look back into our lives, the reason why spiritual progress is sometimes difficult or sometimes time consuming is that we have not learned to let go of what is meant to let go. And if we see that so many people live their life with regrets, it's a very simple example. There's so many children here. If you speak to a child and you ask them what they want to do in life, they will give you their ambitions. Someone wants to become a doctor, someone wants to travel the world. If you talk to someone about life, the older we are getting, the more regrets we have. There's a very beautiful saying which says, cover earth before earth covers you. So it's very strange, because we're all here for this experience. A lot of people can pose very philosophical questions, and questions have existed since time immemorial. Since man or mankind have been searching for themselves, the questions have not changed. We ask, what is the meaning of life? What is the meaning of my existence? And someone very beautifully put it, that the meaning of life is to live. We are all here to live and to gain experiences. Now, it does not mean that life will always be will greet us with a smiling face. Life can sometimes be filled with struggles, challenges, shortcomings, disappointments, and that is what completes life. If we were living a life where there were no struggles, everyone was very happy, we would lose the value of what happiness means to us, or what true satisfaction means to us. So it is very important to understand and learn from our mistakes. But the fact is that if I can let go of my past, then I can move forward. And that letting go is a very difficult process. Why? Because the mind's habit is to revert back to where it was not satisfied. And that is essentially the nature of ego. So in a way, to find oneself, one has to let go of the past. Because I've said it again and again, the past is only a memory. And if you have beautiful memories, life is beautiful. But if we hold on to all the negative memories, or this one said this to me, this one said that to me, then I don't think that the future is very bright for us. Because as time passes, we, fill our life with regrets, with disappointments, and truly we cannot understand our true potential. So it's very important to let go of the past. This is where meditation comes in. Because meditation teaches us the importance of the moment that exists and the moment that is true. And that moment will always be here and now. Whatever you've experienced in the past is the past. Sometimes life is very difficult, no doubt about it. Sometimes we have gone through experiences which cannot be easily overcome. But that is what life also is. Each moment gives us a new opportunity, gives us a new potential to move forward. And the only way to move forward is by letting go of what has happened to us.
हमें A long, long time ago, a Tuesday in November, when that sinking feeling laid us low. We knew if he had his way, that we'd all live to curse the day when decency received a fatal blow. His bankruptcy's got no attention, pussy grabbing barely mentioned, promising a great wall. He swore to make tax rates fall. I still remember how I tried to have sympathy for his third bride, but something rumbled deep inside the day democracy died. But no, don't let democracy die. He's a famous ignoramus, can't tell truth from a lie. And if he wins, we'll kiss our country goodbye, singing vote for anyone but this guy. Vote for anyone but this guy. Is Putin the one to blame? 'Cause we all know it was not Ukraine who lost it by 3 million strong. And do you believe the shit he says, repeated by Fox talking heads? We're quite amazed they fell for such a con. All the red hats at his rallies cheer, but there must be something in the beer. 'Cause if they had a brain, then they know this man's insane. Oh, he was a loser bullied by his dad, kept bailing out his debts gone bad. He craved the love he never had the day democracy died. So now we're saying no, don't let democracy die. He's a famous ignoramus, can't tell truth from a lie. And if he wins, we'll kiss our country goodbye, singing vote for anyone but this guy. Vote for anyone but this guy. Every 4 years we all make a choice and try to unite our divided voice. I guess that's how it's always been. Now we find ourselves in this crazy state, in a war to vote for love or hate, and we can't ever let the darkness win. Oh, dictatorship was not our thing, but electors picked a tyrant king, and peaches sure taste sweet. Oh, but yeah, that's all history. 'Cause when Moscow Mitch gets on the case, then honor's gone without a trace, and we all pray they'd be replaced before democracy dies. Now we're singing no, don't let democracy die. He's a famous ignoramus, can't tell truth from a lie. And if he wins, we'll kiss our country goodbye, singing vote for anyone but this guy. Vote for anyone but this guy. Face it, he's just a racist, and white is what he means by greatest. Rich and white is better, yes. A mobster with a crooked past who laundered condos for autocrats, but he can't outrun the bloodhounds on his tracks. 'Cause the time keeps ticking like a fuse. 52% are not amused, too many to suppress. Oh, what a white repossess. Yeah, we know that right is on our side, and soon we'll look back full of pride. Together we can reverse the tide before democracy dies. Now we're singing no, don't let democracy die. but this guy. Vote for anyone but this guy. Oh, and when we're alone in that booth, all generations, age and youth, the time has come to pick the one. So come on, search your heart and search your soul. Don't flush out planet down a hole for an orange ass who's blotting out the sun. Oh, and as I watch him on the stage, his lips they twist in fits of rage, playing the victim well. He cast his creepy spell, and as conspiracies on Facebook flow, we flip the page and just say no, because only she would watch that show and let democracy die. We're all singing no, don't let democracy die. He's a famous ignoramus, can't tell truth from a lie. And if he wins, we'll kiss our country goodbye. Singing vote for anyone but this guy. Vote for anyone but this guy. I met a girl who chose him once. Now she regrets she played the dunce, and she's a leading activist. I went down to the polling place, saw lines for miles, all happy-faced, and the crowd there knows who they're not gonna pick. And on the screens the pundits shriek, a slanted poll, an angry tweet, hackers interfering. It's too late for a hearing. Good thing you and I and all our friends now realize our life depends on making sure this madness ends before democracy dies. Yeah, we're all singing, no, don't let democracy die. He's a famous ignoramus, can't tell truth from a lie. And if he wins, we'll kiss our country goodbye, singing vote for anyone but this guy. Vote for anyone but this guy. We're all singing, no, don't let democracy die. He's a famous ignoramus, can't tell truth from a lie. And if he wins, we'll kiss our country goodbye, singing vote for anyone but this guy.